lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
From the world center of racing, the 2024 Stacy Strong SNN Cup Series is ready to get it on here for the Duels at Daytona. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida, where this 2.5-mile super speedway is the welcoming wagon to the 2024 season. Qualifying going to be underway in a moment as we get ready to see who's going to bring home the checkered flags tonight and get the field set for the Daytona 500 on Sunday. I'm Dave Regal here in the Tony Trapassa Memorial Broadcast booth, and I'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, as always, I am glad to be back for another season of SNN Cup Series action here as the voice of SNN, and it is an honor to call the Stacy Strong Cup Series for my good friend Brian Tarnowski and lots of my brothers here on the racetrack tonight. Speaking of which, we're going to take a peek here at Ken Ron as we are going to get right to the action out of Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, my fellow Pennsylvanian, if you will. And I'll tell you what, this is an absolute joy to watch Ken Ron out here as Randall Watkins, my brother from down in Miami, Florida, he is out here in the number 27 Ford Mustang, that Miami Fire Rescue machine, and he has already gone purple at 49.2 seconds. So obviously Randall's got something going on, and I was talking to him before this race, before qualifying, and he's actually battling a broken leg tonight. He broke the right leg in two places, his left leg in two places, so he is going to be a lead foot tonight, having that little bit of a gimp there on the left. So I'm excited to see what he's able to pull off tonight. Brian Tarnowski, our gracious race sponsor, just went purple with a 49.17 as Randall Watkins comes across the line. He goes 49.19, so just about 200th of a second slower than Tarnowski out of Waukesha, Wisconsin. Of course, Brian here, the husband of his late wife, Stacy, for whom this league is named, and Stacy was a regular viewer here on the YouTube.com live chat. Want to welcome everybody into the YouTube.com live chat. Rich Jet saying, "Go Herring, go!" And let us know who you're pulling for tonight, who you want to see be successful here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Now, the duels are going to be a little bit different. The front row of the Daytona 500 going to be set by whoever goes fastest in each of these duels. We've got two duels tonight, and basically this is how we're going to set our field for Sunday. Each duel going to last several laps here. 3 tire sets, so each race is going to be 60 laps, and those races will determine basically 3rd through 40th. So taking a peek right now at who's in and who's not. Right now, just 23 drivers in the session as we take a peek here at Richard Pruitt from Sanford, North Carolina, in his debut in the SNN Cup Series. Also, Anthony Savigiano in his debut here in the Cup Series, but someone who is absolutely not having his debut night out of Gloucester, Virginia, Mr. R.J. Root here in the 7 Chevrolet. R.J., of course, a longtime racer here in the series. Looks like he sandbagged that first lap and laid down a 55.99. He's already hugging the yellow line. We're going to see what he set himself up to do today as he gets right down on the apron and crosses the start-finish line. We're going to see RJ go 5th fastest. So right now, as it would stand, Sean Rogers would be on the inside pole position for the Daytona 500. Everybody but Chris Claude qualifying so far, as Chris would be that 23rd driver. And, of course, this season going to be no different than any other season. We run 100% length Cup Series races. And, tonight, of course, we're running the Daytona Duels. So 60 laps going to be the scheduled distance, 150 miles here on the Super Speedway. Sim time going to be 7:30 when the green flag drops. So what'll happen is we'll do duel number 1, and then as everybody's loading into duel number 2, we'll get that set up for you, so we'll probably have to break for commercial as we change sessions in the iRacing.com server. Points don't matter tonight yet. And, of course, a couple of weeks ago, Alex Murray brought home the checkered flag in our exhibition race for the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. And I'll tell you what, it's still, to me, very exciting to race in Los Angeles. I know some people are waning on that idea. But for me and my money, there's nothing more exciting than going extreme short track racing. And, of course, going from 1/3 of a mile to now 2.5 miles, these drivers have to shift gears. And, of course, the Clash used to be right here at Daytona. It opened Daytona Speed Weeks. And now, of course, not so much. As we get moving here tonight, I want to thank everybody for especially our sponsor, Stacy Strong. We want to pull up that beautiful bean footage, the race info here. 74 degrees if you're in the bleachers tonight here on the grandstand. 75 degrees the track temperature. So track's going to be tight as far as grip which means that these drivers are going to be putting down some incredible speeds. I mean, Sean Rogers qualifying on the pole right now at 49.15 seconds. Carl Dodson and Brian Tarnowski going 49.17, so 200th of a second separating first from third as far as qualifying goes tonight. Now, that's going to put Brian Tarnowski on the pole on the outside pole for tonight, now that Sean Rogers qualifying in as far as getting that top spot for Sunday in the 44. So as we get that out of the way, we've got about 2.5 minutes to go. We're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I want to thank everybody for joining us once again, and we will be right back here on Sim Racing Media.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic, real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, where the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series is getting ready to duel it out here in Daytona with the first of our two 60-lap duel races. Sean Rogers qualifying on the pole here in duel number 1 means that he will start on the front row for the Daytona 500 Sunday night right here at 7:30 on Sim Racing Media, as everybody else here getting themselves hopped into the cars, getting ready, of course, for tonight's event with a little bit of a warm-up here as we get ready to rock and roll. So about 5 minutes here as we're going to have some time to talk to some of our drivers. And we'll see if we can get a hold of at least a couple of them. And in fact, right now, I want to make sure that I slide in here with John Dillinger, driver of the number 51. Hey, John, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me? Hey, John, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? John Dillinger. Nope, I suppose
I'm here.
not.
I'm here. I'm sorry.
There he is.
My
Hey,
was muted.
there's the man, the myth, the legend, driver of the number 51 Chevrolet tonight. John, how are you feeling coming into the 2024 season?
Well, I mean, it's the Daytona Duel, so we're not chartered this season, so anything can happen. It's going to be a uphill battle trying to get into the 500. But it's exciting. I mean, I don't know. There are some nerves coming into this. Like I said, I'm used to being chartered, so having to fight our way in this time is going to be a little nerve-wracking. And and my teammates aren't here. They're going to be, I think, in the second duel. So out here, lone wolfing it with no charter. It's a unusual feeling.
Yeah, being a lone wolf is never any way to feel especially without your normal teammates. I do believe that you're bringing back. Are you bringing back Tony Burt this year?
Yeah, Tony will be here. He should be in the second duel. And we have another driver from Argentina by the name of Rodrigo Loga.
All right.
I believe he compete in last season on a part-time schedule. So he'll be running in Duel 2 as well. So I believe so. If he's able to make it, I know he's got some family obligations as well. So we'll see.
Excellent, man. Well, listen, it's good to see you tonight here in the Jack Dow Motorsports Chevrolet. And, of course, as always, I'll be rooting for you up here in the stands. I tell everybody I'm the voice of Sunday Night NASCAR, but I am more biased than anybody you've ever seen on television.
Well, just a quick shout-out, if I could. I would like to thank my new sponsor, Admin Box, for their league admin control boxes, button boxes that they offer. It's a pretty awesome piece of equipment. iRacing iFlags as well, along with Nitro Racing Setup Shop. And I'm also, this season, I'm live streaming. I'm actually sitting inside the 3/4 scale NASCAR chassis with triple 49-inch ultra wides completely surrounded the car live on YouTube right now. So if anybody's interested in checking out the cockpit from inside of a NASCAR chassis while sim racing, check me out at Jack Dow Motorsports on YouTube. But I wouldn't want to steal them away from the sim racing media broadcast. But, just something interesting to check out.
All right, man, absolutely. We don't want to lose them here on SRM, but trust me, after the race, make sure you check out that chassis because it is something to behold. I can tell you from firsthand experience. So, all right, man, good luck tonight, and maybe we'll see you on the other side.
Fingers crossed. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, brother. That, of course, the voice of the great John Dillinger, driver the number 51. I'm always excited when I get to talk to some of these people, especially, as we finally get this season underway. I feel like we've been talking about it for, the last couple of months. And, of course, right now, pre-race announcements coming from Chris Claude. And we're going to get a chance here if we can. And he is still going to be talking up there, so unfortunately not going to be able to talk to Chris Claude. We've got just a few seconds left here in our warm-up session as these drivers get underway. Richard Pruitt out here in a little 3-car pack trying to figure out the drafting strategy for tonight. 25 seconds left in warm-up as we are finally getting the season underway. I really do mean it when I tell you that these people here are like family, and this league is what brought me into iRacing, and I can't be more thankful for the opportunities that they've given me as a driver, as a broadcaster, and of course, as a friend from so many of them. So I know that I'm anxious to see this as warm-up is going to be wrapping up. Many of the drivers hitting pit road, trying to see if they can get down on pit speed here. If we wind up making green flag pit stops, might not be too feasible, but you never know. As drivers going to be climbing in the cars, Carl Dodson going to be sitting on the front row tonight. That's going to shuffle everything up here. But while we have the opportunity, we will go through this field. Carl Dodson going to lead us to green tonight, as he will now be sitting on the front row since Sean Rogers, qualified on the pole, as it looks like Sean is still going to lead us here. So Sean Rogers is going to be the pole sitter here on row number 1. Row 2 going to feature Brian Tarnowski and Randall Watkins. That's going to be a hard one for me to stay away from being biased toward, that's for sure. RJ Root and Nolan Hodgson going to be in row number 3. Row 4 is Alex Princeton and Chris Davis in the 74 Toyota Camry from wow, that's a good one. We'll have to talk about it. Koshkonong, Missouri. My goodness. Row 5 and rounding out your top 10 going to be Anthony Savigiano along with Mark Johnston in the number 80 Ford Mustang. Channing Ballou out of Pensacola, Florida, going to be joined by Michael Whitt in row 6 out of Bristol, Tennessee. Richard Pruitt and Seba Cornez going to be in row number 7. Ken Ron from Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, and Rafael Rodriguez in row number 8. Steve Herring and Mike McConville Jr. from Cape May, New Jersey, going to be in row number 9. Row 10 going to feature my brother Bennett Allen and John Bawalda, who we just heard from. John Dillinger, but John Bawalda as far as timing and scoring is concerned. And it looks like Ray Ferreira, John Crow, and Chris Claude all going to either start from the pits or as charter drivers not have to start at all. We'll get into the charters as we get moving tonight. But right now, the iRacing.com pace car lights are out. That means that this time by, we will be going green flag racing as we come off of pit road, coming here through turns 1 and 2. And we can see them setting themselves up. Everybody kind of getting a little antsy there. We see we're trying to warm some of the tires up, clean some of that debris off of them as we come down the backstretch here along Lake Mead. But 60 laps the scheduled distance tonight here at Daytona International Speedway. I know that we've all been anxiously awaiting this moment all evening long. Of course, now I see our Daytona Speedway logo in the upper right-hand corner of your screen is a black logo, and it's not working real well against the dark sky of Daytona. Nova Road just going past the front of the racetrack here as the iRacing.com pace car brings us into the 3-4 complex. We get ourselves ready now to open the first duel of the 2024 SNN Cup Series season. So as the iRacing.com pace car gets ready to make that hard left turn, the only thing left to say, as the great Tony Trapasso would, it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab the sunscreen because it's time for drafting at Daytona. Race fans, it's showtime! Sean Rogers and Carl Dodson out with the high line here, just shoving Dodson out of the way as everybody kind of bumping and grinding their way through the field. The low line finally picking up a little bit of speed here as we can see going down the back chute. All of a sudden, RJ Root up 2 positions from where he had started, shoving Brian Tarnowski along as Tarnowski going to give a little love tap here to Sean Rogers, who's supposed to be in the 44. He's being scored as the 33. We'll have to make a personal note of that one. As we roll out of turn number 4, the first lap of the 2024 first duel at Daytona. Credit going to go here. Oh, who's it going to be? RJ Root coming across the line for the first time this season to lead that lap. As we get the second lap of the night underway, drivers finally getting up to speed. Of course, it takes about 2 laps to get fully up to speed. About a lap and a half, really, but, as we're going to look here at RJ Root's speedometer, he's at 200 miles per hour being bumped by Carl Dodson. Now, Dodson going to be just slightly faster as a lot of these drivers, deeper into the field are going to be 200-plus miles per hour. As far as the way that drafting works, we're going to start to see that lead car kind of be a fuel pig as the yellow flag comes out. Not sure what happened here, as it looks like it may have involved Bennett Allen. And we're going to see what happened here with Bennett. Bennett Allen blinked out. And when he came back on, he came around. Let's just run that back real quick here and see how on earth this could have happened, because that's frustrating from a number of different perspectives, that's for sure. Whether you're Bennett Allen getting the bump there, and somehow Bawalda just drove right through him. Of course, that was iRacing trying to make a guess there. So Bennett Allen going to have to get caught back up with the rest of the field as he's having some severe connection issues. Chris Claude, John Crow Sr., and Ray Ferreira, since they are chartered drivers, they will not be taking the green flag tonight, so we're going to hop on down and see if we can get a hold of Chris, wherever he happens to be hiding. Hey, Chris, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me?
Yeah, I'm good.
Hey, man, listen, we're finally here. Daytona is literally in front of us. And, as we go through duel number 1 tonight, I'm excited to finally see these cars wound up and running into 5th gear. How you feeling tonight?
Well, I'm feeling good. at the moment because I'm not in the car and I don't have a lot of worries except for just watching and doing race control. But you know, it'll be a lot more. It'll be a lot more fun when I'm out on the track, obviously, and can get another shot at it. I did the full NIS Daytona 500 last night, and you know, through no fault of my own, had a couple of incidents that really put me out of that race. I'm hoping for a better result tonight and especially on Sunday.
Yeah, you know, I'm nothing but excited for Sunday. Of course, you know, this being my my iRacing home, so to speak. So it's always exciting for me when I know that we're just waiting for the green flag to drop. Now tonight, of course, you, John Crow, and Ray Ferreira all not in the field. So why don't you take our fans through why you guys don't have to be out here to race in the duels?
Well, are you saying that while we're not in this
yeah,
duel?
let us know. You know, we know that you're chartered driver, so you don't have to qualify yourself in.
Oh well, yeah. Even though we're not in this race, some of us may be racing the second race, like myself. However, I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback. However, we don't necessarily have to race in the dual race because with a charter you do get a a pass and you get an automatic bid in the 500 when you're on a charter. So that's 36 drivers that wind up getting in automatically. But the duels are a way for you to be able to improve your qualifying position in the race and to be able to get a better starting spot. So that's why you want to do it even if you are actually locked into the race.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the charters are something that you do here in SNN that I think you do probably better than anybody else in iRacing as far as making sure that, you know, those positions are locked in. It gets your drivers on the track every week, you know, because, you know, as far as some of the leagues that we run here on Sim Racing Media, I think yours is probably as close to what they do in the real world as literally anyone else.
Well, that is one thing that we try. The one thing that we weren't able to do is do the separate qualifying. There was enough problems with doing the race tonight, and some people having other responsibilities that they had, other races that they were scheduled to attend. So it's something that we put in place to try to simulate as much as possible, is just have two separate qualifying sessions in each duel, and that the pole winner of each would get to start on the front row, and then whoever winds up having the overall fastest time will actually start on the inside row and lead that particular duel on Sunday, and then the other one will start on the outside and lead that line in the race on Sunday.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations on another season here in the iRacing.com servers. I know you're one of our longest leagues to be here on Sim Racing Media. So, as always, we're excited to have you back, and hopefully maybe we can put something together for the other two series as we move deeper in here. But for now, it's time to get ready to go back green flag racing.
All right. Sounds good, Dave.
That, of course, the voice of Chief Cook and Bottle Washer, Chris Claude, here on iRacing.com. And I'll tell you what, Chris puts a lot of time and effort into what we do here on Sunday Night NASCAR. And, you know, here on Sim Racing Media, we can't be more thankful for partners like him. And, of course, you know, Brian Tarnowski and Tricia's Hope for sponsoring these races every week here on iRacing.com. We will learn a lot more about Tricia's Hope. It's especially an exciting thing for me because, one, I got to know Stacy. Two, I know Brian very well. And three, when Stacy passed away, we had a benefit race for Brian. And interestingly enough, you know, for lack of a better term, the first person to jump to be supportive was my former teammate, my very good friend Tony Trapasso, in whose shoes I fill tonight. So it's a very emotional thing for me here on SRM as we get back underway. Looks like these drivers are going to try to get themselves down to the low line. As RJ Root gets the jump, he's going to be pushed along by Sean Rogers as they have found each other to be good drafting partners so far this evening. Carl Dodson running in third, Alex Princeton in fourth. So they are basically through the top 7 to Anthony Savigiano. Looks like that's where we're going to see everybody single file for the time being. And they are basically building one long conga line down the backstretch as RJ Root going to lead us through turns 3 and 4. RJ Root now leading an all single file line from 1st to 20th as we are working lap number 8 here of 60. RJ now going to lead lap number 9 as we come back to the start finish line. You'll have to forgive me, folks. Trying to get in gear, trying to get moving and rocking and rolling. As we're just kind of watching what's going to happen here as we're going to ride along here with Carl Dodson. And we can see Carl just holding on here from Milton, Florida. As we come out of turn 2, he is going to get a run here on Sean Rogers. But at this stage in the race, he doesn't want to try to do too much here and possibly upset his chances for making it, deeper here into this race. Riding along with Brian Tarnowski, we can see the absolute sheer angle that this racetrack is banked at. And you're going from that, all but 33-degree banking, slamming yourself back down onto a flat straightaway. And we're watching those RPMs 8,800 as he is in the draft and the front end of this car floating around as we hit the banking of turns 1 and 2. We can see him kind of fighting a loose condition. He hits the yellow line, keeps himself moving forward. This is what plate track racing is supposed to look like, folks. Just drafting, waiting your time, waiting your turn, and considering how you're going to get up there and make that pass. I mean, right now we don't see too many people trying to make the pass here on lap number 10. We may see that with 10 to go, but certainly not here with 10, with 10 laps in the books. RJ Root leading this piece now yet again, and here's the thing. You're going to see at Daytona especially, you can see a driver, leading this race all the way to the end. And all of a sudden, you might see the 3rd or 4th position car form up a line, say, hey, guys, follow me and see if I can bring you to the promised land. And all of a sudden, hang that lead car out to dry. Burping the car here is Sean Rogers, as we just saw him kind of leave it outside. Let's take a look back at that. As we can see Rogers peeking out, he kind of cools the car down. He comes back inside. He may have had himself a little bit of a moment here just to try to cool the engine off, or maybe see how much of a run he can get on RJ Root as he did that. And he comes back down and gives RJ the old love tap there. Here on lap number 12, we come back to the start-finish line. And so far, so good. As we look back here at Richard Pruitt, now we're starting to see 2 groups here. So 2 packs, as Chris Davis in the 74 and Richard Pruitt in the 24 are going to be the last 2 cars in that front group. And then we drop back here to Randall Watkins. Now Watkins being drafted up behind by Mark Johnston there in the 80, along with Michael Witt in the 78. And as Witt gets himself drafting up to the rear of Johnston, rolling out of 4, we can definitely see 2 packs, and maybe the 24 trying to hold himself back is basically he's only separated by about 0.3 of a second, and really on this racetrack you only need about a half-second gap to be in the draft of the car in front of you. Nolan Hodgson here in the 12 from Lamar's Iowa. Whoa, giving a shove here to the 60. That wasn't very neighbor-like. As we come on through turn 4, that shoves the 60 out of the way. Let's take a run back and see just what went on there. Not really sure what that was all about, but here he comes. He gets a run right on the 60, and it's almost like the 60 was checked up. Maybe we can see from the blimp as he was bringing along the 59 of Seba Cornez. And we can watch the 12 right here in the middle of your screen coming up behind. Yeah, the 60 was kind of getting out of whack there. And Nolan Hodgson just had to, either check up and lose the draft or drive right through him. And drive right through him, he certainly did. Looking back here live, now those 3 cars have formed their own little pack all by their lonesome, led by none other than Seba Cornez, of course, out of Uruguay. And one of the longtime racers here in this league is Seba Cornez in the 59. So glad to have him with us again this season, as always. But the unfortunate thing is that they're about 2.7 seconds behind Michael Witt. And Michael Witt, of course, in this lead pack. So 2 definite packs have been formed. And as long as these... Whoa! Contact! And that will... Nope, they didn't turn sideways. But Seba is... Whoa, he's going to be mad. As he just ripped the front nose off of the 59. Let's take a look back here and see. Seba gets a shove from the 60. And the 60 just wiped him right out. And, of course, to add insult to injury, after Seba ricochets off of the wall, he comes back down and gets him. We stay green flag racing as those drivers were, of course, right with one another. Seba trying to fight him off. You can hear that throttle. He comes back down and right into the 60. Oof. And we'll do this one more time here from Rafael Rodriguez's point of view. And we can see the shove, the turn, and the tires screech, and the people scream. But we do stay green flag racing here on lap number 17. As RJ Root, still your race leader, Seba Cornez and Rafael Rodriguez down on pit road getting obvious repairs done to the 59 and 60 respectively. Just 2 Toyotas were in the field, now just 1 as Chris Davis, the only other Camry out here on the asphalt in the 74. Brian Tarnowski dropping back now to 6th position as he just seems to be wanting to check in and ride around. He follows Channing Ballou in the 88. Of course, Channing Ballou driving that Dale Earnhardt Jr. Diet Mountain Dew paint scheme. So Ballou, one of the most exciting drivers in the Xfinity Series last season and, of course, the Truck Series. And now he makes his entry here into the Cup Series. And I can't wait to see what he does here at the Cup level, especially racing against RJ Root and, Alex Princeton in the 19. We're going to see him later on this season. In fact, we'll see him later tonight in duel number 2. No, there's Alex Princeton. Speak of the devil. Want to welcome everybody into the YouTube.com live chat. PDS International cheering on Rafael Rodriguez. Amanda Price cheering on Sean Rogers, as he was just leading the way. Now he's tucked in behind RJ Root. And Static Speed Shop cheering on Sean Kelly. As we are welcoming everybody into the YouTube.com live chat. Rich Jet cheering on Steve Herring. Herring back here in the 89, trailing Ken Ron, and they're about a second off of Nolan Hodgson. So we're starting to see some gappage here as John Dillinger, I'm going to mess that up all season long, and Mike McConville Jr. Of course, John Dillinger being from just outside of Philadelphia in Willow Grove, PA, and Mike McConville from down the shore, as we would say here outside of Philly, in Cape May, New Jersey. McConville making his debut here in the Cup Series. And I'll tell you what, he looked so very pretty when he left for Ocean City as he is pushing Dillinger down the back chute. So those two drivers have gotten themselves hooked up. But Michael Witt, now the last car here in this 12-car pack that is basically broken away from everybody else, all but 14 seconds now away from Michael Witt. They're still laying down 45.79 second laps. We can check everybody's last lap time here. And you can see just how fast they're running. And basically, Pruitt's down here running a 45.80 while RJ Root is running a 45.79. So almost the same speed in 7th and 1st. And, at this point, Richard Pruitt here in the 24, he doesn't want to step, too far out of line and start trying to make a run there. And right now I want to welcome into the broadcast booth my partner in crime for the evening, as she's finally made it here, Miss Emily Urias. Hey, Emily, it's Dave. I am glad to have you here alongside with me watching 2024 Stacy Strong Cup Series action.
Yes, sir. I am happy to be back up in the booth here tonight, especially with you, the one and only Dave Regal.
Yeah, 22 laps in the books, about a third of the way through this series, or through this race here in duel number 1. Of course, duel number 2 going to follow almost immediately here on the iRacing.com server. But RJ Root has been leading this race, since pretty much the moment that the green flag dropped. And, at this point, we've got a 12-car breakaway all by their lonesome, and then it gets kind of lonely for a little while here. As we get ourselves all set, reset here, 23 laps in the books. We're looking almost like we're going to see some green flag pit stops. Emily, as a driver, take us through how tough a green flag pit stop here at Daytona is.
Green flags can definitely be tough, especially if you pit in alone, so you won't have somebody to go out there and draft. And some of these drivers, which are with teams, definitely want to pit with their respective teams to be able to make sure they keep up with this penalty.
Yeah, I can only imagine how tough it is to come in alone, especially if you're already alone and you're just trying to work through this piece. I mean, right now, these cars are ripping past us at 200 miles per hour. Talk about getting down to pit road speed. Pit road speed, of course, 55. When you're running like RJ Root is here, as we pull up the dashboard, he's running at 200 miles per hour and then some into the corner. I mean, getting down to pit road speed must be a nightmare.
Yes, getting down to pit road speed limit, which is 55 if I'm correct. I really haven't touched this sim in a minute, but going from 180 to 55 is definitely a challenge and definitely causes some of these cars to spin out while entering that pit road, so that's something we can look out for tonight.
Yeah, locking those tires up coming down pit road can absolutely, destroy your race, especially, if you come off pace or you wind up getting just a little sideways. And, as we look here, 12 cars in the lead pack, you've got to start to wonder, are all 12 of these drivers going to come in together, or do they start to kind of separate themselves? And then the next question that we have is the cold tire bug going to bite somebody?
Can you explain the cold tire bug? I do not know anything about that.
Well, when you go out there, those tires aren't exactly warm, so they slip slide around on the racetrack, and they basically make you less grippy. And less grip means more slipping, and increases your chances of being hit.
Touché.
Starting to listen to race radio, it sounds like we are going to have green flag pit stops getting ready to begin.
Yes, sir. sir, as you mentioned, if I'm correct, pit stops are currently happening. As Sean Rogers looks to be in first right now, up 22 positions.
RJ Root coming down pit road. As he is now... No, RJ Root must be having a connection issue. He's not here. RJ Root, in a surprise, has bailed out of the race. That's something different. That puts Sean Rogers here into the lead. Let's see exactly what might have just happened here. As now I've got to figure out where RJ Root just disappeared. Let's see if we can find it. Here's RJ leading this pack. Next to no problem. RJ comes out of the pack and below the line as if he's making his entry to pit road. Blows the entry into pit road. Nearly, at least. Not sure what happened here, and he just disconnected. Not sure what happened with RJ. So that's going to cycle Sean Rogers here to the lead, which, as far as I know, that should make Amanda Price pretty happy there, cheering her man on. As caution has come out now, let's see what just brought the caution, because now, of course, I paged through a whole bunch of stuff. Looks like Ken Ron may have been involved here. As we pull up the replay, keep an eye on the 33. That's that blue and white car. And whoa. That's not how you want to go landscaping, that's for sure.
No, sir, especially here at Daytona.
Let's see what happens here as we try to get a ride along with Bennett Allen. Right behind, Bennett Allen caught him, and Bennett just got sent to mow the grass here on the backstretch. Well, as green flag pit stops were getting ready to break out, Emily, it looks like we're going to have wholesale pit stops here under caution.
Yes, sir, as we are lap 29 out of 60, halfway there. If they are running 100% fuel, if I am correct, they can do about 15 to 20 laps of fuel. Oh, okay. That is good to know. So, when they come down this pit road, they theoretically should be able to make it to the end of this race.
Yeah, pit strategy is generally about 35 laps for the window.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, 35 laps will get them the rest of the way here tonight, unless they string out cautions. If there ends up being green-white checkers at the end, that could cause them having a challenge to possibly run out of fuel.
Absolutely, as Sean Rogers and literally the entire field comes down pit road. Everything's going to be racked, stacked, and done all over again. Channing Ballou, however, was last down on 29. He's not turning laps either, so there may be several drivers here with connection issues on the iRacing server. That's very upsetting for Ballou, RJ Root, and, I'm not sure what's going on here with the server. It sounds like they're trying to sort it out in race chat, but unfortunately trying to sort out connection issues at 200 miles per hour is a little difficult.
Yes, sir. That is one thing that is challenging, and at least these drivers, they're having to come down pit road, hop out of that vehicle, and trying to fix that problem.
Absolutely. Well, listen, as we get ourselves racked, stacked, and reset to do this all over again here on lap number 30, I'm Dave Regal. She's Emily Arias. This is the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast Booth, and you're watching the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series live on Sim Racing Media. We'll be right back after these messages.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic, real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing, as you're watching the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series right here on Sim Racing Media. Dave Regal and Emily Arias in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Sean Rogers, your race leader, after we had a caution for cause here a moment ago as we've gotten back underway. It looks like Richard Pruitt, the lone wolf here on the high side, shoved out of the way by Bennett Allen as he's looking for a parking space somewhere in this conga line of cars, as he's now going to be passed by the next little group of cars all the way back to Mike McConville. It almost looks like Pruitt either has to be really aggressive and hurl the car in between one of these battles, or slide all the way back through the field, as Sean Rogers has gotten everybody up through about the 51 if not a little bit further, maybe back to the 12, in tight line. And I'll tell you what, Emily, this is one of those times where we're going to start to see that second line form up as they're looking to do it.
Yes, sir. As that top line will start forming, especially with coming down with these last 25 laps to go here at the Daytona Duels, duel number 1. Yes, that top line will definitely start forming when these drivers realize that, hey, I'm out of the cutout line. I need to start getting up there and being able to allow myself to be able to get back in that cutout line and make it to the Daytona 500.
Right you are, as right now it looks like Nolan Hodgson going to bring along Mike McConville, and perhaps even a little bit further back, Carl Dodson in the 53, and now Ken Ron in the 33, as it looks like Bennett Allen in the 15 having some connection issues. He hops out of the low line, flies up to the top, and yeah, those connection issues continue now for the 15. That's going to be awful frustrating if you're right behind him like Ken Ron is, and maybe we can even take a look here as we ride along with Ken Ron. We can see all of a sudden the 15's there. He's not there. It's kind of like David Copperfield brings you NASCAR racing. And, you know, right now all that Ken Ron can see is those sparks in front of him. That's exactly what he can see from the cockpit. And, you know, Emily, that can be awful frustrating if you're Ken trying to pick a spot to draft in.
Yes, sir, as drafting is everything here at these plate tracks, Daytona, Talladega, even the new Atlanta Raceway. Trying to find somebody to draft behind that isn't scraping is something you're looking for.
Yeah, you know, at some point you've got to, you know, as far as Bennett Allen goes, you've almost got to do something, you know, to not cause another wreck here on the racetrack.
Yes, sir. Wrecks at Daytona are cost heavy, especially if you wreck your own race car. You can be in that pitch for a good 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes can mean 5 laps down. It can be very hard during those laps down. But
well, now as we've got two defined lines, as we can see here, we're going to go up here to the blimp view and take a look at that, because now we've got the high side trying to get some momentum here. We can see Nolan Hodgson giving a shove now to the 15. And just a moment ago, the 15 was having all kinds of connection issues. Now he's sitting here leading this top pack and just, oh, I'm sorry, that's not the 15, that's the 19. As the 15 stays at the low side, that's Bennett Allen just in front of Randall Watkins from Miami Beach, Florida. And, I mean, you know, Bennett Allen running in 4th position, you don't want to be that guy that takes out the rest of the field.
Yes, sir, as I know a lot about that from my past racing experiences. When you take out the field, you definitely deal with the consequences later. So that's something that these drivers definitely need to watch out and definitely not want to make enemies on race 1 out of this season.
Yeah, this is duel 1 of race 1, and it's something that you definitely, you know, as you had just said, don't want to be the cause of. 39 laps in the books here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series here on Sunday Night NASCAR, as you're getting some Thursday coverage here. Of course, I've been peeking over here at the real race going on Fox Sports 1. We're just about the same, all things considered. They're at 5 to go. We're at 20 to go. And I've already been scolded enough times throughout my career here not to spoil it, as some of these folks want to run the race back and watch it on demand. As Sean Rogers, still our race leader, getting a shove now from Anthony Savinano. Woof. Anthony. That's what we're going to call him, just Anthony. Or Ant.
Savianan? Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that either.
I'm usually pretty good with names, but that one's a toughie. I can do Tarnowski, no problem. I can't get Savinano out of my mouth. Of course, we're just a short distance away from where NASCAR was born on the sands here at Daytona. Of course, you know, back in the 40s and whoa, 3 wide. What a mess we're about to have. There it is. There's the big one. And it's pandemonium in the field.
Yes,
Cars
sir.
every which way. This is not going to be fun to try to run back.
Yes, sir. As we're 20 to go, so this is definitely going to kind of shake things up, regroup these cars, get a couple cars back on the lead lap. But with
We
this
can see
crash-
Bennett Allen. Oh, no.
That's a lot of cars.
That is. I mean, here's the thing, and we can see it right here as we're going to pull up footage from the 15's perspective. Oof. The 15 bounces out of line. Oh. All right, we'll try to look at this from Nolan Hodgson's perspective. We see the 15 blink out. Maybe we want to be here in the 90. Oh. Johnston getting a piece of it here. And we'll see if we can catch this from Richard Pruitt's perspective. Pruitt here in the 24. If I was Bennett Allen, I'd be in the back right now.
Man, that one little wiggle caused a 5 to 10 car pileup.
Well, and you know, here's the thing, and I'm desperately trying to find the 90 in this mess. And there's the 90. We can see. Ay. Somehow the 90 squirts out of there with next to no issue, but with 18 to go, everybody going to come down and get that third set of tires since they've got them. Chris Davis was just down on lap 29, as well as Sean Rogers, Savignano, Randall Watkins, John Dillinger, and Michael Witt. So those drivers opting not to come down pit road. Ken Ron leading the charge off of pit road with some fresher tires, about 13 lap fresher tires. You know, take us through the importance of tires, Emily. Tell us how that can affect you. You know, whoa, what is that? Steve Herring getting himself turned around coming off of pit road.
Too much throttle?
Maybe? How does maybe sound? No, he blew an engine, it sounds.
Oh, that will definitely do that.
We're going to run this back, and something tells me that he missed a shift as he's going to come off of pit road. Let's just see what happens here as we ride along on the gyro cam. He hits first, second. Oh, he shifted wrong. He money shifted.
Yep, he did blow his engine. That can do it.
Yeah, going from second to first when you're just trying to come up to speed is not a good idea. I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty sure that was a perfect example of why you don't want to do that.
Yes, sir. As we are 17 to go in the first duel, getting ready to rack and stack them up, double file back, and if I am correct, we'll be going green this time by. As our front two runners are Rogers and Davis in that number 44 and 74 car, getting ready to get this green and possibly a 17-lap shootout. And we might get a little fun run if we get a caution with 3 laps to go.
Absolutely. When we go back green flag racing, it's going to be Chris Davis, Sean Rogers, Anthony Savignano, Randall Watkins, John Dillinger, Michael Witt. I don't know what's swooshing in my ear, but stop trying to touch whatever you're touching. I can hear it. Is that a replay you're trying to run?
I'm not touching anything. That might be my keyboard. I don't know.
I don't know.
New
It's
setup,
early
my
in the
bad.
season. Something new. Something different. Of course, Emily Urias making a surprise appearance here in the booth this week as my normal partner, Mr. Alan Bergen, busy on a Thursday night with another league, so Emily has graciously agreed to come down here and hang out with me. And, of course, I'm always glad that, I can have a partner, especially when Emily wants to come along and, learn from greatness.
Like Dave said, learning from greatness comes with Dave as, no offense to you, Dave, if Tony still was here, he would be my first person to go to.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. To be fair, if
But-
Tony was still here, I'd still be on the racetrack. But the iRacing.com pace car lights are out. 17 laps to go. We're waiting for the pace car to make that hard left turn down pit road. It does. Chris Davis with control of the field comes past the entrance to pit road, hits the Geico restart zone, drops the loud hammer, and we're back underway. 16 laps to go here in duel number 1, Emily. What are we thinking as far as strategy?
Strategies here is to stay in the draft, especially from those cars in the back of that pack. I know myself, when I've done races at Daytona, when you lose that draft, you can't recover. So that's what these drivers need to do, is stay behind that car in front of them, and somebody that's, blinking in and out is somebody you do not want to be in behind with 16 laps to go.
Speaking of which, there's the 15 again blinking as the Outlier Speed Company JCTV Ford Mustang. Well, that's different. Ben and I are going to have a chat about that as he's decided to switch manufacturers for the 2024 season. We see Chris Davis leading Sean Rogers for a change, but Sean Rogers giving him the love tap to push him along here as we come down the front chute and as we dive into turn number 1. These drivers not going to give each other a whole lot of room here in the closing laps.
No, sir. As like you mentioned, closing laps, 15 to go. We're starting to see single file line with the 74, 44, and 90 car. Your first 3 cars currently in line, starting to pull away from that field. Those first 4 to 5 cars. Hopefully they don't pull away from this field, because it's going to cause the back of the pack to kind of trouble catching up to them if they can't keep a consistent speed and be faster than that front pack.
Yeah, the front pack is going to be all business. And we're going to look right here. If I can pull it up fast enough, my goodness. Come on. There we go. Let's go right here to Randall Watkins on the left front suspension. We can see that he's drafting up just behind the 90, but not touching him. So not necessarily giving him a bump, but Randall's leaving just enough room that when the time is right, he can step out of line here and maybe try to make that move at the end of this piece.
So Dave, quick question for you. These new front-end cars on the Camry and the Ford Mustang, do they increase draft, or are they a little bit better than the Camaro, as the Camaro was the only thing to not change?
Well, I'm not sure what it's going to look like. I mean, as far as looks and so on and so forth, but aerodynamically they're supposed to be better. And, the original idea behind the next-gen car was to have everything be equal. But as you can see right here on Savignano, he's basically got that front end sucked down to the racetrack, no air getting underneath it, which means that there's a ton of downforce in this thing. And, we don't see a whole lot of weight transfer. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we can see here on Ken Ron, there's a little bit more gap in the Chevrolets, so they may not be the Chevrolets may not be as fast as we see the front end here of another Toyota.
Yes, sir. Especially with that Toyota, looking at that front end, it looks like it's down a lot more compared to that Camaro. So maybe in this season we might see a shakeup of cars. People switching from Camaros to Fords or the Camrys, because it might be faster.
Well, according to Dale Jr., he thinks that, this may end the run of Hendrick's success, at least for this season, here at the super speedways, because of that different nose style in front of these machines.
Yes, sir. As speedways, that definitely matters, having that downforce. But when we go to short tracks like Bristol, Martinsville, and stuff, it doesn't really matter having that draft or having that downforce.
Yeah, downforce is going to play a major issue here, especially as you're trying to seal off the bottom of that race car and not let any air underneath it, which of course can slow you down. It can really act more like I would say a parachute. Not a pair of shoes, SpongeBob, a parachute.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a parachute. But now it's coming down to almost 10 to go. And one of these drivers are going to start thinking, hey, should we start bringing it too wide to make it interesting, or are they going to stay single file line to the end?
With 10 laps to go, I think you're right. This is about the same time that you want to start to consider, moving up to the second line. I think we're going to see Randall Watkins move up there now. As I had mentioned earlier, Randall Watkins actually racing with a broken leg, his left leg not doing so hot, if you will. So Watkins going to have some issues there. So
well, to be fair, you only need your right leg to race, theoretically.
Well, you wouldn't be wrong, that's for sure. It certainly wouldn't be the first time that we've seen somebody race with one working foot. But Randall Watkins, of course, with that Miami-Dade Fire Rescue number 27, he's going to start to look here in the rearview mirror. He sees, who is that back there? The 53, that's Carl Dodson. So if Dodson starts making a run, it may behoove Watkins to slide up there and take a little bit of that air with him.
Yeah, as Mike McConville is up there with him, working on that high line, kind of getting some work done, kind of passing cars. Especially 2 cars being able to move that much up. Now they have 3 cars, so now we're coming down to 9 laps to go. Like I mentioned, this is the time where we're going to start seeing that second line start to form. Maybe not as much yet, as the 33 car goes up high. It allows it as a 4-car top line, and we're about to see a big run coming from the outside line.
Yeah, that's Ken Ron there in the 33 Isaacs Chevrolet Camaro. Isaacs, of course, makers of great sandwiches here in Pennsylvania. If you're in the mood for a reasonably overpriced sandwich, it's like a $7 peanut butter and jelly.
Oh my.
But all of a sudden, Dillsburg, PA's very own Ken Ron leading an outside charge. Now all of a sudden McConville drops back to the inside, and they leave out to dry the 53 of Carl Dodson. And now Dodson going to be shuffled back to the rear of the pack. Richard Pruitt having a little 3-car breakaway. He's got Nolan Hodgson and John Dillinger in line with him.
Yes, sir. As that 3-car pack, they have work to do to be able to catch up. What I think they are doing is waiting for them to start going double file lines up in this front pack, and a possible crash could happen. And that's what we kind of see with double file lines, is some of these drivers get a little wiggly up in that top line, and that can cause complications for that bottom line.
I completely agree with you, and we may see now with 7 to go that second line start to come in a little bit. And the other thing that may be happening is, as you had mentioned, does Pruitt, Hodgson, and Dillinger consider, hey, listen, you guys go ahead and make the mistakes. We'll hang out back here. I know that's how a Truck Series championship was won back here in 2021 by, of course, none other than the great Bob Nestor. As we take a look here at our YouTube.com live chat, Amanda Price still screaming for Sean Rogers to bring home the win. As, here we are the day after Valentine's Day, and I'm sure that Sean had to make sure that she was well taken care of before hitting the sim tonight here in the 44 machine.
Yes, sir. As that 74 car is still in the lead. Still, I believe, is that a teammate behind the 74?
Not sure if they're teammates, but I'll tell you what, they're definitely acting like it. As we now have 5 laps to go here in duel number 1. It goes Davis, Rogers, Savignano, Watkins, and Tarnowski, your top 5. I know Brian Tarnowski is really good here at these super speedways. I'm pretty certain that we're going to suddenly see him making a charge to the lead. As
Yes,
really
sir,
all
as-
he needs is a good shove, and if he's going to be the one that moves. He's already flirting with trying to slide up there, but he doesn't want to give up too much track position.
Yeah, Dave, and in these duels, could you please enlighten me on how many cars will be making it into the duel out of this duel one, or Daytona 500?
All of these
I would
cars
say.
will make it as far as, racking up for the Daytona 500. Tarnowski having the door slammed shut on him by Carl Dodson. But, at this stage in the race, what's really going to happen is everybody's going to make it, and this will determine the way the inside line, is set for the Daytona 500 on Sunday right here on Sim Racing Media. Of course, if you like hanging out with me here on a Thursday night, you can absolutely join in on Sunday night when we hit prime time on Sunday Night NASCAR, as we should be lining up to race about the same time that the checkered flag flies down there in Florida. In the real race, as now that outside line's really trying to make the charge. All of a sudden, Mike McConville shoving Carl Dodson on the high side. We're going to stay right here in the blimp cam so we can see this forming. The 90 of Savignano trying to hold himself in there. Now the question is, does Rogers go along with the top line? He doesn't. He stays put. If he slides up now, he's going to take out that entire top line and everybody behind him. 3 laps to go, and this race is only just starting.
Yes, sir. As 3 laps to go equals double file line. If these cars can make it happen, as we just saw, the cars that was trying to run high was making some room, but now they ended up falling back. So I have a feeling if they don't get a good group on that top line, we're going to see single file line till the end of this.
Popsicle sticks are in the air. We're 2 to go here at Daytona International Speedway. Dave Regal and Emily Urias bringing you all of the action here as Chris Davis leads us here in duel number 1. He has Sean Rogers and Anthony Savignano in hot pursuit, and we're at a stage right now, Em, where we're going to start to see guys get a little bit of that itchy foot syndrome, maybe a little tough actin Tinactin to help them out, as of course that does cool your burning feet. But the 53 of Carl Dodson trying this once again, getting a shove from McConville. They may have waited too long to make this move, but popsicle sticks go down. The white flag is in the air, and we are racing back to checkers.
Yes, sir. As that 1 in 53 car might fall down. Attempts to probably fall down, but does not work. It's 2 cars on the outside line. Maybe the back cars might file in on that back line, but from looking at it, like I said, single file line to the end of this with the 74 being your lead car. Anything can happen as Wiggling comes out of the 90 car, shoving him up high. Nobody to help him.
Look at the 27 giving a hit to the 44. Oh, they make contact.
Ooh. 50
As we come back to the start-finish line, Chris Davis leading Sean Rogers and Anthony Savignano. The checkered flag flies, and Chris Davis, your duel 1 winner.
Yes, sir. As up to you if you'd like to go back and look at that last lap wreck in the little back of that first line.
We'll take a quick look here and see what happened just as the checkered flag flew. Looks like Ken Ron got shoved off track. And there it is. Oof. Tarnowski gets shoved up into the wall. He plows Ron out of the way to finish himself off in 8th. So a heck of a night so far. Let's see if we can get a hold of Chris Davis, Sean Rogers, and Anthony Savignano.
Alrighty.
Bear with us here, folks. Trying to knock some of the old rust off here.
Which one would you like to start off with first, Dave? Let's see here. Oh. I got Rogers. You want Rogers? Roger, this is Emily and Dave in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do. How's it going, guys?
Hey, man,
Doing
listen.
well.
Go ahead, Em.
Coming in second in the first Daytona duel, lining up in the second row. What are your opinions on starting in the second row in the Daytona 500?
You know, starting position doesn't matter a ton. You know how these races go. You can start in the back and it doesn't matter. But, you know, it is nice. I had to qualify to get myself in. So, yeah, you know, I'm excited to, you know, be a part of the field and have a fast race car as we've seen tonight. And I was able to get my teammate Chris in. So, all in all, this has been a good night.
Yes, sir. As 44 Machine makes it into the Daytona 500 as well as starts on that second row. Dave, would you like to say anything to our second place finisher in duel?
Absolutely. Of course, it sounds like your better half, Amanda, was there in the YouTube.com live chat screaming for you to bring home the win. You couldn't pull that off, but, you know, what are you looking forward to as far as getting ready to rock and roll for Sunday?
Well, I'd like to thank her for the support. You know, she's always in the chat cheering me on, so shout out to her. But looking ahead to the 500, I know I got a fast car. I've had a fast car in officials all week. Good pushing car. It can lead, and I can thank the guys at BMP for that. So yeah, it's a long race. Anything can happen. So as long as we keep myself in position, I think I got a good shot at it.
You betcha. All right, my brother. Well, listen, we will chat with you later. Good luck on Sunday.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right.
And up next is the driver of the number 74 car, Chris Davis, our Duel 1 winner. Hey, Chris, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what, Emily and I were up here watching you run this race. I mean, you know, first of all, after, you know, some connection issues for RJ going on, you wind up shuffled up here to the lead. Take us through this piece and how you wound up, you know, from 8th to 1st.
Well, I mean, I knew it was going to be a tough run up to get up through the field, especially when we went single file there. So did a little bit of pit strategy, get up there with my teammate Sean, and from there we just worked together. With that one caution come out, I was able to actually pass him and get control of it. So really just have to thank Sean. He pushed me through the whole way. We kind of had a game plan set up for if anyone got a run, and thankfully it all come down to that last turn, and he was able to give me a shot far enough out that I didn't even have to worry about it.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, before we cut you loose, who do you need to tip your helmet to for this run tonight in the duel?
I got to thank Carson and Sean for teammates, and then Beast Mode Performance for the setups.
All right, man. Well, listen, good luck. Congratulations on the win tonight, and we will see you Sunday right here on Sim Racing Media.
All right, I appreciate it.
Well, Emily, we got this one in the books. It's time to get ourselves moved on over. So, folks, if you just bear with us here for a few minutes as we switch feeds and get ourselves all set, we'll be bringing you Duel number 2 live from Daytona International Speedway. I'm Dave Regal. She's Emily Arias, and we are bringing you the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic, real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Musket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
From Daytona International Speedway, the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series is ready to get it on once again here for the Daytona Duels race number 2. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the World Center of Racing. Dave Regal and Emily Arias here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Looking forward to bringing you the action as we just had an incredible race in Duel number 1. We expect to see the same here in Duel number 2. And we'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And Emily, as I just mentioned, we got to see an incredible finish to that race in Duel number 1. Now we get to see Duel number 2. A smaller field here as qualifying getting underway, so I'm excited to see what happens with these drivers.
Yes, sir. Smaller fields mean that these cars definitely need to stay in that pad, because if 2 cars break away, they're going to have to hope for a caution to come out. So definitely these drivers need to be on their toes to be able to stay with this pack.
Without a doubt, Williamsburg, Virginia's very own Eric Papineau out here now on his opening lap. Take us through a lap here at Daytona and explain what your strategy is going to be in qualifying.
Strategy here at Daytona, I haven't really hit one of these tracks in a very long time, but I still am very familiar with them. These drivers are looking to run kind of that high line to get some speed going on that first lap when they launch off pit road, but after that they will want to hug that bottom line. And when I mean hug, like on that yellow line without hitting that bottom curve, which will allow them to get that lowest time physically possible and allow them to get pole position.
Yeah, as you had mentioned, you want to get as close to the bottom line without crossing it. It's almost like The Price is Right. You want to be the closest without going over. And, of course, if you do wind up kissing that apron, it will scrub some speed off your time. Right now, Tanner Marty goes purple, and the fastest lap here at 49.21 seconds out of Duval, Washington. Joe Stafford out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, my fellow 215er, is here in the car. We'll catch up with him, and of course, we're going to get a chance to catch up with a lot of our regular drivers here, as well as check in on our rookies here making their debut starts, as we have Joe Stafford from Philadelphia. Then we have Stafford, Virginia's very own Skip Gandy. We see Skip here in the Great Dane Chevrolet Camaro. Take a look at this driver here, Emily, and what do you think? Is he just trying to get himself up to speed?
If I'm correct, this is his entering lap into lap 1, correct? First lap. So, being on that first lap, he's kind of in that area. You can run a little bit higher than that. You might be a couple seconds off. It's just all about keeping that speed and being able to hit those decent times. And with Gandy, he is a rookie driver, correct?
Yes, this is his debut race here in Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series action. Bobby Anderson the same way, making his debut here in the Cup Series in that Kyle Busch throwback paint scheme. Of course, Kyle Busch no longer in the M&M's machine, but it makes him feel good. Tanner Marty still our pole sitter, as nobody has been able to eclipse that 49.12 second time. And Matt Mackin, Chris Custer, and Jeff Carson all getting themselves wound up. Looks like Tane Hodison and Timothy Cook also going to make their debut starts tonight. So a pretty exciting qualifying round here.
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, a lot of rookies here in this Daytona Duel number 2 here in the SNN League here on a Thursday night. Again, normal nights are Sundays, but this is their duel, so we're racing on a Thursday night. Like I mentioned, they can cut down on that bottom line when going across the checkered line, maybe get a couple tenths, but at that point, it really does not matter.
Not at all. I was looking for Joe Stafford in the Discord here, but I don't see him yet. So he may be a lone wolf tonight in the field as far as chat goes. As we take a look here at Ryan Samuelson out of Westminster, Maryland. Apparently, he still thinks that he's my sister's favorite driver, and I've told him before he can be my sister's favorite driver all he wants, but my sister's not into dudes.
But as Ryan Samuelson's working on his laps, and I don't know if this still is a thing in iRacing, but I know some drivers like to wait a little bit after qualifying because they think they get a little bit better traction. Is that still a thing, Dave?
It is. I mean, you get a little bit of rubber in the racetrack, for a little bit of extra grip. Not much, but just enough sometimes. And we see Chris Claude having that same idea. Chris Claude, not in his traditional Dasani paint scheme. Chris Claude changing over here to Monster Energy. And this will be his debut in the Monster Energy number 10. So it's going to take me a little bit to get used to saying Monster Energy, as, of course, that's a Pepsi product, and Chris is generally a Coca-Cola man. But I'll tell you what, that Monster car looks awful mean tonight.
Yes, sir. As I'm going to be honest, when I saw these new bodies for the Camry and Ford, I don't know how I felt about it. I don't know if I like it, love it. I'm kind of in between.
It'll grow on me. I think it'll grow on me. It's a little bit more aerodynamic. It almost has a look, of course, as we've all seen footage and photos of course, the Plymouth Superbird from back in the 70s, of course, also made famous by the Cars movie and Mr. the King. But they're trying to make that nose almost bite forward and get themselves a little bit of extra downforce, and we can see that here on Chris's Camry.
Yes, sir. As downforce is everything at these super speedways, like I mentioned in Duel 1, going from Daytona, Talladega to the new Atlanta Super Speedway. Kind of still new, but still a track that, compared to Daytona and Talladega, for it being a super speedway, is still mind-boggling to me.
It absolutely is. We're taking a look now at Tane Hodison here in the Moser Racing Menards number 93 Ford Mustang. Just 3 Fords and a pair of Toyotas. Everybody else tonight in a Chevrolet, so this league once again being pretty Chevy heavy.
Yes, sir, which is kind of surprising with the new body styles. Maybe there's no downforce difference at all. I guess the sim it might have not changed any of the downforces for those new body styles. Still probably following the same as that old body style, which, honestly, I don't know. I have mixed feelings, but as Kane goes by, on his looks to be first lap, if I'm correct, and or second. Hugging that bottom line, like I mentioned, got to be careful and not want to flirt with that bottom line, or shall I say, because Daytona has a big slope. So if you even catch that bottom line, you have a chance of, having your car spin out.
Yeah, and here's the thing with Daytona. I mean, you're already going to be in a big pack. You don't want to make yourself or put yourself in a position where you can wreck that pack out. And, here we are in qualifying for the second duel, and, we're at a point now where we're looking at it going, well, I could take a chance. You really ought not to.
Yeah, especially here at Daytona, it's all about making those right choices. As the 93 car kind of almost touched that bottom line, deciding to go a little high. In these duels, you don't really need to qualify, even at Daytona, like at the very top of that field. But it's nice to be able to start in that top row so you don't have a chance of wrecking out from cars in front of you.
And right you are as Tane Hodison wraps up his qualifying effort, going 8th fastest on the timing line. Sean Kelly going 14th fastest, so the only drivers left to qualify are Timothy Cook, Ken Ron, John Bowaldo won't be racing in this one, Rich Jett, and Tony Burt. And let me just see here where my boy Tony is. We're going to move him on right on down here because when I get an opportunity to talk to Tony Burt, I take that opportunity. Yo, buddy, it is duel night here in SNN. Are you ready, Tony?
I am. I'm ready. Ready to go.
I've been ready since the end of last season, man. And, of course,
sir.
As you and I have discussed so many times, I mean, this is the league that I call home. And you, of course, I can call my friend and my brother. How are you feeling coming into tonight's duel?
Oh, I feel great, man. This is my wheelhouse for no doubt. I've won a couple races this week, and yeah, this is the only time I feel confident all year. Believe me.
Well, and of course, we're lucky that tonight is the day afterward. But I assume that you took care of Heather for last night for Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, we had a great time. Yeah, we did good. She's very pleased, I think.
Well,
if she wasn't, I wouldn't be here tonight.
Yeah, that's usually how that works. If Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well,
how have you been?
Listen, it has been a quiet off season for me. Working a couple of races, got to do some high school football last year, so that was exciting over on radio. And I'm good. Otherwise, I'm blessed by the best.
I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm real happy for you. I was excited to hear about your football deal too. I know that's exciting for you. So.
Well, and for me, it's taking what we do virtually, and I finally get to apply it in the real world. And it was just, I tell it when I try to explain to people what we do here on iRacing, they kind of give me that funny look, like they look at you like a cat with their head turned a little sideways at you.
Yes, sir.
But when Emily and I were down in Miami together, it was one of the few places that you say iRacing and everybody goes, "Oh, iRacing," and doesn't look at you like you belong hiding in your mother's basement.
That's right. They get it, don't they?
They do. And I was trying to explain to a couple of my football partners, oh, this is what I do when I'm not calling a football game, and they went, and. So it feels good to be back here in the old Tony Trapasso Memorial broadcast booth.
Awesome, dude. So awesome.
Yeah,
man. I'm excited. I'm excited about everything. It seems like we never left, So.
No. The off season is never as short as we think it is.
No, definitely not.
Well,
Nope,
here we are getting
not.
ready to do 60 laps around this 2.5-mile super speedway. I know that you're one of the super speedway whisperers here. Obviously, you're thinking about starting out back and just kind of creeping your way through the field, I assume.
That is definitely my objection here. But the object of tonight is just to sneak up from the back, most definitely. Can you see my car on the screen coming out pit lane?
In fact, let's take a look here and see if we can see that beautiful bean footage of the 4 machine as he rolls off of pit road. I do see the Wooger Nitro Racing.com number 4. Let's see what's
green.
on. What's that?
Am I green?
No, you are gray.
Yeah. Can you reset your thing and see if it'll update my paint?
Here we go, folks. We're going to pull back the curtain here and reset the paints. And it's reloading, and now you're just sitting there in primer, and we're staring at your white driver. It's like a ghost car at this point. Nope, it came back gray again.
Okay. I loaded my paint late, so I was hoping maybe it would take effect, but it didn't.
It may not have. So unfortunately, tonight you're just going to have to be gray.
That's right.
It ain't easy.
No problem at all.
It ain't easy being gray.
No, not at all. How many peeps we got watching the broadcast so far tonight?
Let's take a look at that. Right now, we've had 26 concurrent views since we started, so we're doing pretty good as far as getting views up here. Our stream health is good, and I won't be able to see the analytics until we get to the very end.
Yeah.
Dave, we are currently at 29 people in the stream.
29 all at once. I'll take that. That means a lot of people have nothing else to do on their Thursday night.
Especially for a Thursday night. You think people have other things to do, but
no, it's the day after Valentine's Day. There were a lot of deals made yesterday. If we go out to dinner tonight, then I get to race tomorrow night. There was a lot of that going on.
A lot of deals. I understand. Hey, if I leave my session and come back, can I come back in if I leave the session?
Check with Chris. I'm not positive, and I don't want you to gamble and lose.
Yeah. Good deal.
All right, my brother. Well, listen, good luck, and we will see you on the other side.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, man. That, of course, the voice of the great Tony Burt. I'll tell you what, Emily, when we get to call these races that we've done for so many years now, and, of course, for a lot of these drivers, I've gotten to know side by side with them. It feels like, the off-season was just long enough for me to miss everybody, and now we all get to be together again.
Yes, sir. As personally, just like you, I also raced side by side with this awesome league here tonight. Definitely been a minute. Some new faces here. Got to get used to some of these new faces, but I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, it seems like, we come back and they've had a couple of recruitment races over the wintertime that I got to poke my eyeballs into them. We see so many of these folks get themselves ready. And speaking of getting ourselves ready, our race is getting ready to grid up as we're going to drop on down here and get the race information. Come on, guys, hop in the cars. No reason to waste any time. Waiting for Matt Mackin, Jeff Carson hopping in, Tanner Marty. So Bobby Anderson getting the pole position here. That guarantees him front row honors in Sunday's Daytona 500. Not sure if he's gonna race here in the duel. Yes, he is here in the 18. So let's go through our starting lineup. Bobby Anderson going to be starting on the pole position from Mansfield. He'll be joined on the front row tonight with Tanner Marty, but Bobby will be starting on the front row on Sunday at 7:30. Right here on Sim Racing Media. Row 2 going to feature Eric Papineau out of Williamsburg, Virginia. He'll be joined here on row number 2 by Matt Mackin out of Cleveland, Ohio. Cross Junction, Virginia's very own Jeff Carson going to start on the inside of my Philadelphia brother, Joe Stafford in the 57 Chevy. Ryan Samuelson and Tane Hodison going to be starting in row number 4. Chris Claude, chief cook and bottle washer here in the SNN Cup Series, going to be starting on the inside of row number 5 alongside of Dalton Mobley out of Cooper, Texas. Skip Gandy and Rodrigo Loga going to be in row number 6, while row 7 going to feature Sean Kelly and Chris Custer out of Ohio. Rich Jett and Tony Burt, who we had just spoke with, going to be starting in row number 8, while Timothy Cook, John Bawalda, and Ken Ron will not be taking the start. Timothy Cook is going to be starting from pit road, it appears.
So Dave, let's say a different person that wins that didn't get pole position, do they still start on the inside row of the first row?
They'll be on row number 2.
Row number 2. Ooh. As we get ready to go green, side by side, these cars are here tonight in Daytona Duel number 2. Getting ready to head into Sunday night's race. Let's see who's going to be coming out victorious here tonight in Duel number 2.
Bobby Anderson going to be leading us down to the green flag here momentarily as the iRacing.com pace car crosses that timing line into turn number 3. He'll be joined by Tanner Marty in the Topps machine, and I'll tell you what, that kind of makes me excited because Topps reminds me of baseball cards, and baseball cards remind me of baseball, and baseball reminds me that, well, pitchers and catchers reported this week. Full squad workouts for the Philadelphia Phillies going to be on Saturday morning, so I can't wait for that personally. Not saying that I have a problem, but I have a problem. And as we wait for the iRacing.com pace car to make the hard left turn down pit road, the only thing that's left to do, Emily, and you know what it is, it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab your camera because it's time for a photo. Race fans, it's showtime!
Yes, we are in showtime indeed here in Daytona. We got 60 laps here, side by side. Let's get this show rolling.
Bobby Anderson leading the charge here on the low side of the racetrack. He has Eric Papineau in tow. Going to bring along Jeff Carson here in the number 9 machine. So it looks like we've got a nice little breakaway here on the low side as Chris Claw going to join the low side parade. Tanner Marty in the Topps machine. A little off pace from his front row partner Bobby Anderson, but that's not going to be for long. As we roll out of turn number 4 back onto the front stretch. Looks
Yes,
like
sir.
Bobby Anderson going to get credit for leading lap number 1.
Yes, sir. As single file line starting to roll in, the outside line still trying to make moves, trying to get up there, but with 60 laps here in Daytona Duel number 2, we're looking at single file line till maybe lap 30, but at Daytona anything can happen. They might be double file line for this whole race. Anything can happen.
Right you are, as we do take a look here from our drone cam for lap 3 and for turns 3 and 4. We can see all of these drivers getting themselves lined up here as we roll it out of 4 and down onto the front stretch. Bobby Anderson still controlling this low line. Just a 4-car pack here on the high side. We're probably going to see them slide in the line.
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, 4 on the outside, then the rest on the inside. Not much is going to happen currently right now with it being single file in the start of this race, but crashes can happen, are inevitable.
Well, and with 3 laps in, tires are now up to temperature, which puts plenty of grip in those tires. So as we see that big checkup going on here and look back deeper in the field, Tanner Marty leading the 0-1 of Matt Mackin and Rodrigo Loga on the high side.
Yes, sir, as the front 2 vehicles are bumper to bumper as wiggling in the back of the pack. Number 10, not number 10, that's my fault. The 0-1, a little wiggling from the back of the pack. Gotta watch that, because if you wiggle too much, you can definitely lose that draft of that pack. But that 29 and 2 car is definitely going to need to hop down soon so they don't lose draft of that main pack.
Yeah, right now it looks like they've got some Gorilla Glue between them as the 2 of Dalton Mobley pushes along the 29 of Tanner Marty, and all of a sudden they just shoot past the rest of the field. They got one heck of a run here as they now pull alongside the 57 of Joe Stafford and the double natural of Rich Jett. As we work lap number 4 here, all of a sudden we're starting to see that those 2 cars, running all by their lonesomes is going to wind up pretty powerful as long as they stay linked as hard as they are.
Yes, sir, as those cars are making work of that outside line with only 2 cars working on it. Kind of better than the Duel 1 with we had 3 cars trying to work on that outside line. They're definitely making those moves, staying bumper to bumper and making it happen and making it work on that outside line.
Yeah, right now they're keeping themselves competitive, and don't look now, but Tony Burt looking to try to draft up alongside of them. Tony's pretty good at keeping it safe here early on in these races, as we've only got 5 laps logged in the book right now. Tony's going to be looking for a partner. Joe Stafford comes along with him, as now we can probably start to see Tony and Joe match themselves up here. So we're going to see just how strong that 57 is, and strong he is, as he's going to bring along Tony Burt. Now these 2 cars are 4, and as long as they stay tight here on the high side, all of a sudden we're going to see some really cool stuff here out of Tanner Marty as he leads this train.
Yes, sir. Like you mentioned, Tanner Marty working on that outside line, making it happen, moving up there. Now with people that can run that top line, we're about to see some moves as the 17 kind of might want to go high, but decides to stay low. That's going to possibly put Tanner Marty up in P1, now up to P2. 18 blocking that outside line, moving up and deciding to take that outside line. We might see a change of lanes in Daytona Duel number 2. We saw the bottom line being used mainly in the first duel. We might see the top lane being used, so we never know.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, Bobby Anderson just drifted up in front of Tanner Marty, and now Marty makes the move to the low side. I'll tell you what, the first race was tame compared to this.
Yes, sir. First race was definitely tame, as that files out the 18 being left in the dust. Wow.
They just hung him out to dry like yesterday's laundry.
100%, and honestly, that's something you don't want to see here, and unfortunately, that will give us a new race leader in the 29 car.
Now, if there's anybody that I want to see in my rearview mirror, it's Tony Burt. I mean, he is the consummate sportsman here, as he did allow enough room for the 18 to slide in. But now it's time to make a decision. Do you try to form a second line, or do you stay single file for a few laps here as we're working lap number 8?
Personally, I would be the person saying, let's stay single file line. I mean, we still got 50 laps to go. Why rush double file and possibly causing a wreck? That's something these people out here do not want, as the 2 car is on that bumper, glued to that back bumper of the 29 car, which allowed them to get up into P1 and P2.
Don't lie to me. I've watched you full send on lap 3.
There's no video proof of that. Actually, there might be.
There probably is, and I probably was on the call.
Touche.
I mean, listen, I've watched drivers like you. And it's a lot of fun to watch when it's lap 3 and they're like, you know what, I'm going up here for the win. And I've watched you take that 6 car and just burn the tires off of it and then fade like a fart in the wind. But as we work lap 9, we can start to see that little serpentine lap or a certain serpentine look that we have going here, like a snake slithering down the front stretch and into turns 1 and 2. As we hit turn 1. Everything going to shake like crazy as we see everybody drive over the digger cam. These drivers not about to try to give any room up.
Not at all, as we have a slow cart up high, making these drivers stay low. Not a challenge for the main pack.
There is 1.1 seconds between first and 11th. They're moving so fast you can't even keep up with it. And all of a sudden up here we see Timothy Cook in the 09. He's hoping that he gets to see a caution here, which would bring him back onto the lead lap. But I'll tell you what, if the first duel was any indication, we're not going to see that caution fly for a long time.
No, sir. As the 23 car and the 03 car decided to go up high, possibly trying to leave the 09 car hanging. But with looking at it, that 03 car might be left hanging if he can't get in. As he sneaks by, allowing the 09 car to get into that draft is what he kind of wants.
Yeah, right now taking a look at the Pro Stock Racing 03 machine, that Chevrolet cranked up here. Let's just take a look here at his dashboard. We see 189 miles per hour into the turn. and he's all by his lonesome. We're going to watch Matt Mackin here. I'm sorry, Timothy Cook here, drafting behind him, trying to get up there. All of a sudden, we're going to see Cook's speed increase, getting ready to go into the turn as he drafts up to the rear of the 03, 191 miles per hour into the turn, barely peeling off any speed at 186. While meanwhile, up here in the race lead, 193 miles per hour down the back chute. Let's see what they're entering turn 3 with.
Yes, sir. Like you mentioned.
198, 199, 200 even going into turn 3.
Yeah, and what it comes back to is when I mentioned is when you get out of that draft, you're out of that draft. And with that 09 car being a lap down now, deciding to try to cut off and trying to get in the draft of that main pack made that 03 car lose draft of that main pack. So there might be some heat between those two drivers now.
Tanner, Marty, Dalton, Mobley, and Eric Papineau, your top 3 here as they lead this single-file parade around Daytona International Speedway. 2.5 miles here on the east coast of Florida. Of course, a lot of focus on Florida lately, as of course, a lot happening in the Sunshine State. A lot of pitchers and catchers. Pretty much every major league team east of the Mississippi comes down here to Florida for spring training. They're arriving in town and opening up camp this weekend for spring training, and of course the Daytona 500 going to be Sunday afternoon right here at the World Center of Racing. 14 laps in the books, just about a quarter of the way through this time by. As this is just an exciting time of year. Football is finally over. Not saying that it's a bad thing. I don't want people to start sending hate mail saying how can you not like football. But when football gets over, my hands get a little shaky like a drug addict waiting for my next fix, because I know that NASCAR is around the corner, baseball's around the corner, and, Emily, you got a front row seat to watch Dave just have himself an all-out seizure trying to watch the Phillies pull off, the NLCS win last year as we were down in Miami.
Yes, sir. Miami, I had a blast, and I'm glad I was down there with SRM team. Amazing team to be with, and I don't think I would ever say no to this ever again.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, this year seems like I'm just going to be a vacation whore, as spring training, San Diego, Miami. There's no boundary.
Yes, sir. I mean, personally, hopefully I get to go down this year if we decide to go to Miami again, as personally, that will be my only vacation this year, as some of y'all might know. If not, I left the nest, so I'm finally in my own apartment, and I'm better than ever and ready to get back into action.
Yeah, there's nothing better than your first apartment. It's the kind of place where you can just, drop your shoes inside the door and wander around as much as you want, and nobody's in your way. You never have to wait for the bathroom. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, and those perks are definitely noticed, but single file line, kind of slow right now, but that's kind of what we see in the first 30 to 40 laps of these races here at Daytona. It is a little bit slow because these drivers want to be able to make it to the end.
14 cars here in this lead pack, tailed off by Sean Kelly, Rodrigo Loga, and Matt Mackin running together. I'm sorry, not Matt Mackin, but Timothy Cook. Matt Mackin off the pace by nearly a half of a lap, so he's desperately hoping for a caution here to get bunched back up at the field. Not sure what happened with Mackin.
Yeah, and with, like you mentioning, a caution would help two of these drivers, but from what I'm seeing, I don't think there's going to be a caution anytime soon, especially with how these drivers are driving in single file line. It could happen. A driver could brake check. It could cause a spin out, but I don't think that will happen until we get to the point of drivers needing to make positions.
Right, you are, as we've got 5 cars here, the top 5 back here to Joe Stafford, that have just run away with this front pack. They're dragging everybody else along, as the 23 of Sean Kelly holding off by about almost 0.2 of a second. But really here at Daytona, what you need to do is get within that half-second window, 0.7 to a half second. So, as long as he stays right where he is, he'll still be able to draft up to Rich Jett there in the 77. And, of course, if I want to be anybody right now, it's got to be Skip Gandy, Bobby Anderson, or Tony Burt, because they are just in the thick of things. They don't have to worry about losing the draft. They don't have to worry about losing momentum as long as they stay in line. And taking a look here at Chris Claude out of Fairview, Tennessee, here in the number 10 Monster Energy Toyota Camry, he's got himself in a great position just behind pole sitter Bobby Anderson. So we know that Anderson's got speed here at Daytona. Now it's a matter of being consistent enough to carry that through.
Yes, sir. As single file line, still 29 cars, still your race leader. Don't see that changing up much unless we see a double line possibly forming. But some of these drivers have to start getting a little anxious, especially with going green so long. I know myself, you've seen it before, would be anxious. I like getting into the action. I like having action. I don't like a slow race. You see me run up to the front of the pack, and sometimes I don't burn off my tires, and I take offense to that.
I mean, I've seen you liquefy some good years. As now that they go ahead and pass Matt Mackin, that'll put Mackin a lap down and put him in the lucky dog position. So now Matt Mackin and Timothy Cook are going to have to battle it out for who gets the lucky dog free pass. And that's going to make things pretty interesting here in this second duel, because that's something that we didn't have very much of in race number 1. Maybe they should have been paying attention here on SRM for, the action of race 1. But we want to welcome everybody into the YouTube.com live chat. Looks like Kayla Martin says hopefully Sean won't get wrecked out in the first 2 minutes. The Bender family says, let's go, Sean Kelly taking first. TC cheering on Sean Kelly. And, Jack Dow Motorsports saying Dave, he needs his driver back. I get it. I do. I very much do. Then we see Naughty XLX Wolf cheering on Sean Grease Monkey as his teammates are watching. So looks like Sean Kelly's got a pretty good cheering section here.
Yeah, Sean currently in that number. Where is Sean?
We're getting there. Sean Kelly running in 14th position right now.
Kind of in the back of the pack, falling behind, not wanting to wreck out is
Sean
kind of what...
running in Okinawa, or running from Okinawa.
Huh. Interesting.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke. Never mind, I've got one right here on the desk.
Must be nice. I am fully out of stock of my Coke.
There's a guy on the street corner, he's got Coke.
I got my handy Gatorade next to me as 23rd car is just kind of having a little fun back there.
I mean, right now, he's just kind of feeling everybody out. I mean, here's the deal. You're running back in 14th position now. He's got to be careful that he doesn't lose this draft because they are starting to pull away from him. Rich Jet is here in the 77. And, you can have some fun back there, but, it's all fun and games until someone loses the draft.
Yeah, as looks like the 23 possibly has lost the draft 100%. So kind of going to be interesting to see how this works out for him. Now it's going to lead us with another car that's going to be a lap down. So it's going to be 3 cars battling to try to get that lucky dog wave around, is what we like to call it here. At least anywhere in NASCAR, shall I say. But that's definitely going to shake up things and maybe possibly get some more action out of those 3 cars that are lapped down.
I think instead of Lucky Dog, we should call it Fortunate Canine. I think
Honestly,
we should overcomplicate it.
Yes, I respect that.
Well, the Fortunate Canine position belongs to Matt Mackin right now. He's just ahead of Timothy Cook. As basically Matt Mackin running all by his lonesome. It's just very strange to see him off pace that way. As Tanner Marty still leads this piece, he's followed by Dalton Mobley, Eric Papineau, Joe Stafford, Ryan Samuelson, Chris Claude, Bobby Anderson, Tony Burt, and Skip Gandy, your top 10. Tony Burt up 10 positions running in 9th right now. So after starting 19th, he has gotten himself way up here deep into the, getting deeper into the top 10.
Yes, sir. As we are working on lap 25 out of 60, these drivers are now going to have to start thinking of when they would like to come down pit road, like you mentioned from the Duel 1. We're looking at between 30 and 35 laps on fuel, maybe 40 if they can push it. So we're about to see some wholesale pit stops from all of these drivers in about 10 laps.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And I mean, we saw it last time where we started to, we had a fortunate, I shouldn't say fortunate, but fortunately had the caution come out where we didn't need any green flag laps. And it just seemed like the caution was coming out right when drivers had to start thinking about when to come down pit road. It kind of takes the guessing out of it, and it also avoids any accidental, brake locks and things coming onto pit road.
Yeah, as you mentioned, brake locks can happen, especially going from 200 miles per hour to 55. Just think that's 100 plus miles that they have to break down, go down, and get into pit road without rear-ending the car in front of them that's also trying to pit.
Tanner Marty still leading this piece on lap number 26 as Dalton Mobley in tow. 14 cars in this lead pack as Sean Kelly has fallen off the pace. Of course, Sean Kelly with our largest cheering section in the youtube.com live chat. Spread Thin Hobbies says, paint on Skip Gandy's looks great out there. Shade of red is perfect. Let's take a look here at Skip Gandy's paint scheme. I'm guessing that Spread Thin Hobbies had something to do with it. As we get on in here, the Great Dane paint scheme. Of course, Great Dane being a major transport company here in the United States. Actually, that does look really cool. Oh, wow. Yeah. You know what? They're not wrong. That is a cool paint scheme. It looks like aluminum foil that's colored red.
I love that. Great.
Here's something, and I don't know what your feeling on it is, but now I can get it. We have the Coca-Cola family of drivers. Of course, I'm a Coke Zero drinker now. I'm fairly proud of that. But regardless, we've got the Coca-Cola family of drivers, but no actually Coke-sponsored car. And I feel like Coca-Cola would do themselves some good by getting on the side of the car. Of course, Pepsi for years, was a secondary sponsor for Jeff Gordon. But, rather than have just the Coke family of drivers, what about having a Coca-Cola car?
I can't really say my opinions on that as I am a Pepsi fan. I love my Mountain Dew. Gotta get juiced up on that Mountain Dew. I like my Mountain Dews.
Yeah, I saw your cooler. I know. It's a little out of control.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's definitely nothing. Definitely, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, that cooler. I forget. I keep on forgetting. I brought a lot of that down to Miami. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Pepsi was a major sponsor, well, a secondary sponsor for Jeff Gordon back in the early 2000s and the late 90s. But I just feel like, as I'm looking here at Skip Gandy's car, and it is a great paint scheme. I mean, this would look so much better in Coca-Cola red and white.
Honestly, I do respect that decision. I feel like it would too, but I honestly, with Pepsi, I'm surprised Pepsi doesn't get as much love as Coca-Cola does.
I mean, we've got the Coke Zero 400 in Daytona here in July. Coming up later this year, of course, unlike the real world, we will be calling every race of the season from start to finish, unlike splitting it like Fox and NBC do, because why would you want to go anywhere but Sim Racing Media? And if you haven't thought about it before, think about it now. Subscribe to Sim Racing Media, turn on those bell notifications in the youtube.com live chat, and let us know who you're pulling for, who you're watching in tonight's race, because, these drivers are out here putting on a heck of a show. You might as well watch it, as we are just about here at the halfway point when we cross this time.
Yes, sir. As we're looking at green flag pit stops coming down in about 5, maybe 10 laps if they can push it till 40. But from what I've seen from these drivers, they're pushing those cars to be able to make it with that main pack. So definitely about to see some green flag pit stops from every single driver here tonight, as honestly, that's what we're about to expect.
Well, and here's the thing, and I talked about it earlier as we got ourselves set up here. This league itself prides itself on being safe, and this league has absolutely increased, their safe driving and the green flag laps over the last couple of years. And we see that coming to fruition now here at Daytona. And I think, me personally, that it just adds a whole new layer of competition here in these cars.
Yes, yes, sir. As from when I raced in this league, I know, like I said, people are starting to decide to go down pit road. Not the whole field coming down, just 4 cars coming down pit road. Like I said, from what we just seen, it is sketchy coming down pit road, especially jumping out of the path like that. No, no wrecks occurred, but that's something that these drivers need to watch out for.
Yeah, Tanner Marty, one of your race leaders, coming down pit road, followed by Jeff Carson, Ryan Samuelson, and Dalton Mobley here in the deuce. That's going to cycle Eric Papineau up to the lead, and we're going to have to watch and see if he decides to come down this time by or if he stays out for another lap or two.
Yes, sir. As like you said, the 29 car came down pit road. Just so everybody knows out there, if they do not know, if you're the lead car, you use a lot more fuel as everybody comes down pit road. Do we got any wrecks? Do we got anybody locking anything up? We do not.
As usual, the SNN family of Cup Series drivers gets themselves down here nice and easy, does it, as Mr. Sinatra would say, as they come on down pit road.
Yes, sir. Wholesale pit stops from everybody, and it'll cycle the 29 car possibly back in that lead or one of those cars in those 4 cars that pitted first. As 57 car beats everybody off that race. 3 wide coming off pit lane. 1 person's going to get a penalty with leaving that yellow line. If you do not know, yes, just Hefford beat everybody off. Must be fuel only for that number 57 car. About to see if tires will play a hand because I see he's kind of getting loose coming off pit road. As following with the rest of the cars, they got the 4 cars coming up behind them, so this definitely put a lot of these cars a lap down. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how these 4 cars that's currently on that lead lap will do. It's definitely going to have most of these drivers hoping for a caution.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Ryan Samuelson, Tanner Marty coming down on 31, and they're just creeping up on Stafford now. But, Joe Stafford, one of those drivers that consistently finds ways to use strategy and get himself out to the point here and lead in the SNN Cup Series. Of course, as he goes around, he's going to start to see Ryan Samuelson closing in on him like a homing missile.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, homing missile it is, but most of these drivers are definitely going to be wanting to caution now, as like I mentioned, that 29 car pack that pitted with the 29 car, they're going to be a lap ahead of the whole field. So these drivers that are behind them are going to have to figure something out and hope for a caution, but that caution will only allow 1 driver to go around the field unless the front 4 cars pit.
Tanner Marty back out to the point now as he was able to come down pit road and get service without any issues. I think it's incredible that now we've seen green flag pit stops here. So for lack of a better term, they know they can do it. So, that definitely alleviates a little bit of fear as we move in here to the Daytona 500 on Sunday. A lot of times, especially that first time that you're making a green flag stop in the season, everybody's kind of holding their collective breath, because they're thinking, oh God, here we go. First time this year, we're going to wind up, something bad could or might happen. But
yeah, as we're working on lap 35, we got about 25 left to go. About the same time we were last duel number 1. Definitely shaking things up from duel 1, as a lot of these drivers now got to figure out how they're going to do this to be able to get back on that lead lap. From now, what we're seeing is those top 4 front cars are on the lead lap, and really they don't have to worry about the cars behind them.
Absolutely. Tanner Marty, Dalton Mobley, and Jeff Carson. 1, 2, 3 they go. Ryan Samuelson and Skip Gandy make up your top 5. But, this group here, just 9 cars deep, back to Eric Papineau in the 17. And, basically, and I like the way that 17 is stylized. That definitely harkens back to Darrell Waltrip when he was driving that Western Auto Parts machine.
Yeah, definitely that Western Auto Parts machine. It looked like I'm just baffled with how those front 4 cars pitted 1 lap early, which allows them to be able to get that big gap between every single car. That's something that it might work in the Daytona 500.
Yeah, and with some of these drivers, we're going to start to see, maybe a little bit of settling in here. 37 laps in the books is now, wow, they've just split themselves off and made me look like a clown and decided that they're suddenly going to go side by side.
Yeah, as the number 01 car, if we want to look at the right side of that car, I see some damage on that car. So, curious on how that happened and if that's going to cause air damage.
Well, and it may be incredibly possible. We're not sure what's going to happen out of that yet.
But yeah,
we're going to see.
These front 4 cars, if they pull away from this main pack, they can make it to the end, and it would definitely put most of these cars that are that lap down definitely in a world full of pain, because they won't ever be able to get back on that lead lap unless A, those 4 cars pit, B, there's a caution with those 4 cars pitting. But to be fair, for what I'm seeing in this duel number 2, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, it may not happen this time around, but now they've all gone back single file, so obviously they heard me talking and thought, no, we're not going to do what the big fella says. We're going to go back here single file. But
yeah,
as they go single file and get themselves all set up, we're just about, get this, Em, we're just about at 20 laps to go. Can you believe that?
I cannot. Coming in from duel number 1, we're almost putting at least in, what I say, 100 laps in the book here tonight, with 120 forecasted from duel number 1 to duel number 2. We might have gotten a little extra due to the cautions in duel number 1, but with that being said, these drivers definitely making duel number 1 look a little lacking of entertainment. It was still a fun race to call, but this, I feel like, has been a lot more action than duel number 1.
Yeah, I can't disagree at all. These drivers, although we haven't had any wrecks to speak of, which we don't want to speak into existence, that's for sure.
Wrecks? What are those?
Yeah, exactly. These drivers still have managed to do an incredible job of putting a great show on. So, that being said, with just about 20 to go, we're going to step aside for our one and only time, it seems. Right here on Sim Racing Media, I'm Dave Regal, she is Emily Arias, and this is the Stacy Strong SNN Cup Series.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic, real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second spot, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, where Tanner Marty leads this piece, yet being pushed around the racetrack by Dalton Mobley. Dave Regal and Emily Urias here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. As we have been with you since the green flag dropped here in duel number 1. We're in duel number 2 right now. 15 laps to go. Emily, we have seen at this point in the race, basically, 45 laps now of green flag racing. Yeah, and with 13 to go, we're starting to wonder who's going to be the first one that blinks here. At this stage in the race, we haven't seen too much craziness, which is exciting because that means that everybody's saving the best for last here. With 13 laps to go, Dalton Mobley has been attached to the rear bumper of Tanner Marty for dozens of laps now and backs off only in the turns, because of course with these cars, especially, with the new aero package on the Toyotas, they were talking about it on the Dale Jr. download. With the new aero package here and the way that these cars are now designed, are they going to match up right? Yeah, that's a good question. And you can see right there a Toyota. Well, actually, Jeff Carson giving us a really good look here. In fact, let's see if we can get right on Carson's hood, because that's a good look as far as him pushing around Dalton Mobley. And if there's anybody that I'd be sure that could, set himself up to slingshot in the last lap or so, it's going to be Carson. He, as long as he's got a clean car, he's pretty competitive. And, he's also one of those drivers where if he gets that car beaten up a little too much, he'll just rage quit and get out of the way. Well, I'm watching Jeff Carson use that front end as a ram here on the rear end of Dalton Mobley. And, if he hits him any harder, he's going to be in the trunk of the number 2 Chevrolet Camaro. As we come through the tri-oval, we can see the speed that he's running with here in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, 197 miles per hour, all but 200 even going into the turn. Now watch the way that he drafts up here. I mean, at this point, this is just mesmerizing to me, as he's going to back off, allow a little bit of space, and now he starts to pull up in once again, as there's going to be just enough space for him to start hitting that 200 mile per hour mark. Yeah, most of them are, and if you take the paint and the sticker, stickers and everything off of them, they're basically all the same car. Yeah, and here we are with 9 laps to go now. And, as you were just saying, the front end of the Toyota is a little bit lower. Oddly enough, it looks like the strongest Toyota in the field, in fact, the strongest non-Chevrolet in the field, is Jeff Carson running in 3rd position right now. Chris Claude running in this little 4-car pack here toward the rear. Basically, they desperately need to get themselves a caution and, get caught back up to this front pack, because right now, the front pack is running hysterically far ahead of them. Yeah, and right now the most scared driver out on the racetrack has to be Tanner Marty, because, he's basically sitting here thinking to himself, I've had control of this race for this entire race, and, that's going to become jeopardized as these laps start to tick away, because right now, as Alan Bergen would say, the sand is running out of the hourglass and it's starting to get a little hairy. Yes, ma'am, as we start to move further and further here, 6 laps to go. It goes Marty, Mobley, Carson, Samuelson, Gandy, Custer, Stafford, Jett, Papineau, and Hodison. And we can see Tane Hodison leading Bobby Anderson in the 18. Bobby Anderson, of course, starting on the pole position, moving back into the field. Now he's going to be here along with Chris Claude. Tony Burt down a lap, so right now he would be 3rd as far as lucky dogs go, or fortunate canines, as I'm going to start calling them. But Tanner Marty has these top 3 pretty much with a blanket over top of them. Yeah, that's Joe Stafford in the 57, Rich Jett in the double natural. Right now, they have hooked themselves up, and now they're going to start making their march toward the front. Looks like Ryan Samuelson going to hop in line just ahead of Stafford. Stafford going to be able to give him that love tap, there it is, to get some momentum going here for that top line. They've all linked themselves together now. So coming down the back chute and into turn 3 with 4 laps to go. Oh! That's a wall. You can't run against it. I'm not sure. We're about to find out because the popsicle sticks go down, the white flag is in the air, and we're racing back to checkers. Ladies and gentlemen sitting at home, we have seen 59 total laps of green flag racing. This has been probably the best session for a Daytona duel that I've seen in a long time. Justin Kelly cheering on Sean Kelly. Do it for Dale. Let's go, Sean, says Jesus Castaneda. So it looks like there's a lot of people yet still cheering on Sean Kelly with about a half lap to go now. Less than that as we come out of turns 3 and 4. Tanner Marty not going to be challenged for the race lead as we come out of turn 4. Samuelson doesn't have it. We cross the start-finish line. The checkered flag waves, and Tanner Marty, your Duel 2 winner. He'll be followed by Dalton Mobley and Ryan Samuelson as he came across just in the nick of time. So it'll be Marty, Mobley, and Samuelson, your top 3, and they will all be starting in just this fine order on Sunday right here on Sim Racing Media. Absolutely. We're going to try and get a hold of our race winner here, Tanner Marty. As we'll move him down here into the waiting room. And while I do him, do you want to... Well, I might as well get Mobley here. Because we're going to move everybody down, just peeling back the curtain, still looking for Samuelson. I don't see Samuelson yet. He may be here. Oh, there he is. Hey, Tanner Marty, it's Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Hey, man, listen, great run tonight. I mean, I was sitting here starting to get a little worried because sometimes when you lead the race that long, especially at a place like Daytona, somebody's bound to try to throw a monkey wrench into what you're doing, but somehow you were able to hold that lead for all this time tonight. Take us through this and how you wound up here in Victory Lane. Yeah, man. Now, listen, we're going to turn our attention and start looking towards Sunday's race. Sunday's race going to be 200 laps. It's going to be 500 miles. What are you thinking? Is it going to be a try and see how long you can stay up toward the front, or is this going to be a situation where it's, I'm going to hang out toward the back, try to save what I got? All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations once again on the checkered flag tonight. Before we cut you loose, who do you need to tip your helmet to? Well, man, it looks like some of that got clipped away here for reasons I'm not quite sure of.
Oh, okay.
But it looks like Alex Princeton giving me the heads up, of course. But listen, we appreciate everything that you've done tonight. And listen, good luck on Sunday. I will see you there as we get ready to start the 2024 season.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
You do the same. And as we get ready to rock and roll here, we're going to move on here to Dalton Mobley, which I believe Emily has.
Yes, Dalton, this is Emily and Dave in the booth. Do you have a copy?
I do.
Amazing race from you here tonight. Sticking with those front three cars has allowed you to finish P2. Opinions on finishing P2 and duel number 2?
It was a great overall wonderful team effort here. Me and Tanner, we pushed to the front early in the race, and we stuck up front the entire time. So major props to Tanner. And, this is a blessing. Tonight was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. Tonight was a blast. Dave agrees as well. Definitely finishing P2, that first green flag pit stop allowed you guys to stay in that lead. I was very surprised myself when I saw that happening. The three cars sticking together was definitely a blast to watch. Dave, do you have anything for our second place finisher?
No, we're getting ready to go green flag racing on Sunday for the Daytona 500. So, get yourself all set and rested and ready to rock and roll as we'll be on air at 7:30 p.m. Before we cut you loose, though, who do you need to tip your helmet to?
First, I want to thank Jesus Christ for letting me do this. This is a lot of fun. It's a blessing to be able to sit and race with all these great racers here, and very thankful for Tanner as well, and Ken and Alex.
All right, my man. Listen, congratulations once again. I will see you Sunday night.
Thank you, sir.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Ryan Samuelson. Hey, Ryan, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, listen, great run tonight. I mean, listen, you made a push at the very end, and you weren't able to pull off, the surprise win that we always, wait for here at Daytona, but you still managed to get yourself onto the podium. Take us through this race tonight and, how you wind up here.
Overall, it's a very surprisingly clean race tonight. No cautions. Just kind of everyone, I guess, had the same idea. And I'm the move I'm probably the most happiest and probably set me up probably for the best finish I could possibly get was the pit cycle. I did not know Carson and Mobley and Tanner were pitting there, and I saw them ducked out. I'm like, I slammed on the brakes, ducked out, slammed on the brakes, didn't speed. I actually got ahead of them, so that was probably the move of the race for me, getting to that position, and then kind of let the race manage itself. I was kind of shocked towards the end that Carson didn't go with me or something like that. I was trying to beat him because of the non-chartered thing, and so I was just trying to get past him. And then Joe, being an awesome guy, I mean, I know he's was in the same circumstance as I was tonight, trying to just be the highest finishing non-chartered guy today, and he did a great job. He shoved me to the end. I appreciate that. That's a great racer, and Joe Stafford, I owe a lot to him. So throughout the years of racing with him in this league, so major props to them. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you and Stafford are almost synonymous with one another. I know that, just like back in the day, I was always near Tarnowski. It seems like you guys are always near one another. And quite frankly, there's no one better than somebody from the 215 outside of Philadelphia. So really, if you're going to be paired up with somebody, it might as well be Stafford.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that I'm biased or anything.
Yeah, a lot of respect for him. I absolutely love racing with him. I know I'm gonna get a fair race with him, and I'll give him some, but he'll give me like some back. So I'll message him and thank him and all that. But yeah, no, great race. Had time to move perfectly coming out of on the backstretch out of 3 and 4 and got it done. So we're happy with hopefully the transfer. Gotta wait on that to be confirmed. But in my mind, I'm going racing on Sunday night. So
yeah, you should be all set to go. Before you get out of here, though, who do you need to thank and shout out for this run?
I gotta thank Namie on the hood, my main sponsor, Run More. Use code Run More for 10% off new pair of shoes. I know you want some. I know you want some of those new Hokas, the new Brooks, all the new fancy shoe tech.
Yeah, you're right in the world. I'm a big dude. Running is not my thing.
Hey, it's everyday walking use. Man, me too, my man. Obviously, boys at Fam Racing. Mentioned Stafford as well. Just him racing with a lot of respect there. So you guys, obviously, Dave, I know you're definitely a pro's pro at this. So a lot of respect to you and Emily out here. So.
All right, my man. Well, listen, I appreciate you very much, and of course, as always, the kind words. I only do the best I can because this is the best racing there is on iRacing. So I appreciate you, and listen, we will see you Sunday night at 7:30.
Let's go, baby. See you then.
Well, Emily, this one is in the books now, and I'll tell you what, we've seen some awesome racing tonight. We've seen some great drivers and some great performances from those drivers. You know, this is just the very beginning. I mean, we haven't even scratched race number 1 yet, and to me, I've been waiting all winter long for this.
Yeah, and honestly, I was not expecting to be up in the booth, but I'm glad I decided to hop in with you tonight, Dave. Amazing racing from here at SNN. I'm glad to be in the booth with you anytime that I am possibly able to, and definitely excited to watch Sunday night's race.
Without a doubt. And before we get out of here, we want to make sure we take one final look at tonight's results here from duel number 2. Tanner Marty brings home the checkered flag, followed by Dalton Mobley and Ryan Samuelson on the podium. Joe Stafford out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, brings home 4th position for Money House Racing, while Rich Jett rounds out your top 5. Skip Gandy finishes in 6th, while Chris Custer, Jeff Carson, Eric Papineau, and Tane Hodison round out the top 10. Bobby Anderson and Chris Claude finish 11th and 12th, respectively, while Sean Kelly and Tony Burt come home 14th and 15th. Matt Mackin and Timothy Cook come home in 17th and 16th and 17th, while John Bawalda finishes in 18th. And, of course, last but certainly not least, actually it's not even true, Ken Run was in the first race, so not exactly a factor here. So, Emily, it was great to have you with me as always, and, you know, to all of our fans there at home, we want to remind you that tomorrow when you go through your day and as you walk down the road of life, don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.